I went on every single Airport Express service in one day and ranked them all.
Airports, love them or hate them, they are an easy way for people to escape the UK. And some train operating companies run express services from various stations in London to them. And today I'm going to be testing all of them out, which is why I'm stood here outside of London Paddington Station, where I'm going to be getting on the Heathrow Express. Right, okay, so let's buy some tickets here, which I'm going to be just absolutely harassed by the price. £25. 25 Great British pounds. Oh my word. Fine, let's go.
Having paid my premium fare, the Heathrow Express itself trundled into the station and I got on board.
This is a proper express service. It leaves Paddington and then doesn't stop until it reaches Heathrow Terminals 2 and 3, where it then carries on to Heathrow Terminal 5. So no intermediate stations, unlike the Elizabeth line.
We raced down the Great Western Main Line and I soon made some observations.
We are now approaching Heathrow and we've overtaken a bunch of other Elizabeth line trains heading to Terminal 5 because they have to stop, and we're an express train and we're all very quick. So in terms of speed, it's good.
15 minutes and £25 later, the screen on board the train informed me that we had arrived into the busiest airport in Europe. But whilst Heathrow Airport was dead set on promoting its own Airport Express service, which it partially owns, an Elizabeth line train pulled in instead, which I boarded.
We are now returning from Heathrow on the Elizabeth line, which brings up a key point about these Airport Express services. There is usually another train operating company that is covering practically the same route. In this case, it's the Elizabeth line. For the Gatwick Express, you've got Southern. For Luton Express, you've got Thameslink. So it makes it feel a bit less special, I guess, and also it's usually cheaper to travel in these regular trains. Now, to make this a fair test, we are going to be judging every Airport Express service by 3 criteria: comfort, speed, and value for money. So where does the Heathrow Express rank? Comfort, I'm going to say that was an easy 8 because the seats were quite nice and overall it was a pleasant experience. Speed, that is a 10 because 15 minutes rather than half an hour on the Elizabeth line is pretty good. Finally, you've got value for money. Is it very good? No, not really. £25 for a one-way journey is, in my opinion, extortion, and on the Elizabeth line it can be done for far, far cheaper. There we go. Now we have to go to St Pancras to get to Luton.
With it already being 12:30, I made my way to the underground station.
So I'm now here at Paddington, where I'm going to get on the Circle line and head off to London St Pancras King's Cross Underground Station, from which I will then get the East Midlands Railway service all the way up to Luton. I've just got off at Edgware Road and now it's time to get on another train which should hopefully take me to King's Cross St Pancras, from which I'll get to St Pancras.
But my terrible London navigation wasn't over just yet.
Okay, I've accidentally made my way to Euston now, so I guess I'm going to have to walk down to St Pancras.
After a bit of walking, I found the building.
I am at London St Pancras International Station now, which means the trains behind me are Le Eurostars going off to Paris and Brussels. However, instead of doing that, I am off to the even better place, which is called Luton. Luton Airport Parkway, to be precise.
After admiring the stunning space that is St Pancras, I found my train.
And here is the Luton Airport Express train, which is an express service which goes to Luton Airport Parkway and then onwards to Corby, but we don't count that bit.
After the train departed, I piped up.
We are in the Luton Airport Express service, which is also called the Luton Connect service. It connects London St Pancras to, I think, Kettering, and the first stop is Luton, which means that basically they can advertise it as an express service. It is quite fast. We're overtaking a bunch of Thameslink trains and the seats are rather comfortable. On the other hand, we've managed to get into a carriage which is the East Midlands Railway sauna, because it is about 30 degrees in here. The driver went on to the, thing to say, don't go here. So I'm boiling to death.
After overheating practically to death, I looked at the route map which showed all of the stops after the airport.
Welcome to London Luton Airport Parkway, the place to be. And we've just gotten off the sweltering train.
Now that I was outside of the Luton sauna, it was time to talk trains rather than nonsense.
So the train behind me is the Luton Express service. It is a Class 360 train which East Midlands Railway got off of Greater Anglia, and I can hear it departing. Now, it is very nice. It's got decent seats. I think that it's an all-right train for this service. However, it isn't really an Airport Express train. It's a train that goes to Corby and happens to stop stop at Luton Airport, which is all well and good, so why brand it as an airport express service, is my question. You won't believe this, viewers, but a plane's just gone overhead.
With this earth-shattering discovery aside, I ventured into the station.
Right, Luton Parkway Station. It's not connected to the actual airport, which is a bit of a pain, which means now I'm going to have to pay an extortionate fee to get to a place where I don't want to be.
What I'm talking about here is the very short shuttle service to the airport itself, which is called the DART.
Now, the Luton DART is advertised absolutely everywhere, and that's the shuttle service, so it's not going to be that hard to find.
I then went over to the ticket machine.
And now it's time to spend my life savings on getting to Luton Airport. Buy tickets now. Select my station. Luton Airport, right? Continue. 1 adult, 2 adults even. Beautiful, fantastic. Continue. I would like to get back here. I don't want to stay in Luton. Oh, I'm sorry. I would like to apologise, viewers, because £19.60 has just come up on the screen. That cannot possibly be correct. Seriously? Are you having a laugh? 4-minute journey, £19.60. No.
Yes, if there were 2 adults with no rail cards travelling on a 4-minute return trip, that would have been the price. I did some fiddling and got the price down to £4.90 for myself.
I've got my hands on these tickets, which means it's now time to go through the barriers, where I'm going to review the thing without my camera woman. Sorry, Evelyn.
So I got through the ticket barriers and made my way towards the shuttle, which soon arrived. 4 minutes and a plane later, we arrived at the actual Luton station.
The DART has now departed, which means I'm here alone at Luton Airport. Where else would I love to be than here? Let's go and see some planes, shall we?
As a result of the price, I clicked an unhappy but polite button on a thing and saw a plane. Wandering around airport grounds with no intention on getting on a flight was not great either.
Just walking through Luton Airport, talking into my phone, perfectly normal things. Security is going to have a word with me. This has gone too far. I don't even know if you're allowed to film in airports. It might be time to head back to Luton Airport Parkway. What am I doing here? What is going on?
I admired yet another plane and the air control tower before having a look at the station itself.
Yeah, there it is. That is Luton Airport Railway Station. You can only get a train to Luton Airport Parkway, but this is the actual thing itself. I've wasted a lot of money. What I'm not thrilled about is that I'm only halfway done now, and I've got to get back to St Pancras, and then I've got to go all the way down to Gatwick now. Why am I doing this? I don't know, but here is my chariot to Luton Airport Parkway.
The DART shot through the tunnel and popped out into the countryside for a moment before arriving into Luton Airport Parkway. Now it was time for the longest stretch, the hour and 45-minute Thameslink trek to Gatwick Airport, a good 50 miles away despite both being allegedly London airports. Still, I had to provide my review of the EMR Luton Express.
Now, the EMR train was absolutely boiling. I think that if I'd have tried to record in there for any longer, I would have literally fainted. Not cool, East Midlands Railway, fix your trains. So, what is my scale ranking deduction of the Luton Express? Let's get into it. In terms of speed, it was pretty fast, faster than the accompanying Thameslink service, so I would give it a 7 or maybe an 8. Now, in terms of value for money, I'd say it's also quite good, about 10 quid to do this journey, and on Thameslink, it's roughly the same, so I would recommend that. The DART, on the other hand, is heinous. It is not worth that much to literally travel for 4 minutes. I had my 16-17 Saver Rail card. For you, or anyone else who's over the age of 16 or 17, that would have been about £9, which is mental. Now, in terms of comfort, it was also quite good. I think the seats were all right, more than acceptable for such a service. Out of 10, I would give it a 7 as well. Not mind-blowing, but could be severely worse.
We raced from Bedfordshire to Sussex before alighting at airport number 3, Gatwick, where there were some trains and planes.
I am in the south terminal of London Gatwick Airport. The train station is allegedly a minute away, and it takes about 30 minutes to get to London Victoria Station. I don't know why I'm going to London Victoria Station. From there, I'm going to have to go all the way to London Liverpool Street. This is an incredibly useless exercise, but let's review the train. There are 3 trains which serve this airport station. One of them is Thameslink, the other one is Southern, and the third is the Gatwick Express. Here's the kicker, they're all owned by the same company, Go via Thameslink Railway. So they are making absolute bank by just advertising all of this. I found the ticket machine and it's 24 Great British pounds.
So I paid up, went through the barriers and found the trains, except I didn't.
The train that is departing is not the Gatwick Express, and follow me around here, neither is that. That is because Southern is operating its Southern services using their Gatwick Airport stock, which means that they use them for the same journey but with more stops, which is not what I'm here to review. Okay, so now the situation is that we're going to be getting on the 602, not Gatwick Express service, Southern service, using Gatwick Express coaches, which will take us into London Victoria, and it should be broadly the same experience, except for the fact that at London Victoria, it gets to there a little bit later, which is fine. I can still review the train.
I then asked my camera woman what she thought about the conundrum.
Not very chill.
No, not at all.
No.
I am now on what would be the Gatwick Express service to Victoria. This is a service to Victoria on some Gatwick Expressy sort of seats. However, it isn't actually a non-stop direct service, which is a bit annoying, but it's only about 2 minutes extra, so it doesn't matter that much. What does matter is the fact that all of the Gatwick Express services that I wanted to get on were cancelled, which is not looking favourable in my review. Thank you very much.
The Gatwick Not Express flew through fields as I piped up about the seats.
And the seats here, no. Is that worth the premium price? No. That's why they use it for their normal trains. What is that? I mean, come on, compared to what we've seen in the past, Heathrow Express, Luton Express for crying out loud, these are just not that brilliant. It is very quiet on board, which I like, that's good. The train itself is alright. There is aircon, which I like a lot, and it's not something that you had in some coaches of the Luton Express. Thank you for that one, East Midlands Railway. Now it's simply a hop to London Victoria Station, the tube right on to Tottenham or something, and then from there it is easy sailing to London Stansted Airport on what is probably the best train service that I've heard of yet.
With the train arriving, it was time for my ranking.
Right, so Gatwick Express, let's go. Comfort, I'm going to give that a 5. It was not incredibly comfortable, the seats were not brilliant. Speed, quite fast, half an hour to get you from Gatwick Airport to Victoria, that's reasonable. That is a 7, and money value, not great at all. £25-ish in order to get you there, that's like £1 a minute sort of thing. That's bad, very bad. Heathrow Express level bad, so I'm going to have to give that another 5. Worst one so far?
With that out of the way, and with it being 9 hours from the start of my journey, I got on the Underground.
Right, so I am on the London Underground, specifically the Victoria line, heading to Tottenham Hale, where I will then take the Stansted Express to Stansted. I'm not going to start from Liverpool Street because I don't have the time for that.
After getting off, I made the jubilant announcement that
I am here at Tottenham Hale, and now I'm going to be taking the Stansted Express service to London Stansted Airport, our final one, and apparently the best one yet. So we're going to try it out.
So what would the train that we were going to be on be like?
And that over there is the Class 745 intercity train, which Greater Anglia use on its flagship Airport Express service, the Stansted Express, also the only one which they operate, unless you count the Southend one. Anyway, here it is, look at it, pulling in. Not our one, but you get the gist. So I'm now on board Greater Anglia's Stansted Express trains. They're very similar, practically identical to the trains that they use on their London to Norwich intercity route, except these don't have a first class. So the comfort is amazing. You've got big seats, big windows and big tables. Greater Anglia is doing very well in the regard of comfort. How about time?
In terms of speed, the Stansted Express is the slowest, with it taking about 47 to 50 minutes from Liverpool Street and 36 from Tottenham Hale. It is also the only express service with scheduled stops, those being at Tottenham Hale, Bishop Stortford and sometimes Stansted Mount Fitchett for some reason.
The seats here are genuinely the best that we've travelled on today. They've been plump, comfortable, and an overall joy to be on.
We then turned onto the bit of track going towards the airport and eyed the control tower as the train ended its perilous journey.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 12 hours, our quest to go on every London Airport Express service has come to a gruelling finish. We are here at London Stansted Airport, and behind me was my chariot which brought me here from Tottenham Hale, the Class 745 Greater Anglia Stansted Express service. Right, the grand finale, let's review the Greater Anglia Stansted Airport Express. So, in terms of speed, it is the slowest out of all of the express services because Stansted is located the farthest from London, which is fine, but it is an airport express service, so I'm going to have to give it a 7 on that front. In terms of comfort, that is easily a 10. It is incredibly comfortable, lots of seats, lots of area, and it is genuinely a delightful train. Now, in terms of value for money, it is £25, which you will recall is the same as Gatwick and Heathrow. However, more distance is covered for that sum, and I feel as if it's genuinely a better product than the other two, which means I'm going to give it an 8.
The airport station itself looked the most dull as it was just a lot of concrete. However, I still needed to crown the king of airport expresses.
Right, so let's reveal which is the best London Airport Express service as ranked by me. In 4th place, we've got the Gatwick Express, which got 17 out of 30. In 3rd place was the Luton Express, with a very nice 21 out of 30. In 2nd place, the Heathrow Express with 23 out of 30, which means that the best London Express service, in my opinion, is the Stansted Express, which is 25 out of 30. A big thank you to Greater Anglia for providing the tickets for today's travel on their services. A big thank you. This wouldn't have been possible without them, or it would have been a lot more expensive. If my journey was a burger, it would be a Whopper.